co-working or co-lurking. Yeah, that's a word I said on accident while I was talking about this with my Twitch stream. Hey, Twitch, say hi to YouTube. Let's talk about what co-working is, what co-lurking is, and why you may or may not want to do it. And I'll try to be brief. We've had a lot of conversation about whether it's a good idea or not, and there's been a lot of really great ideas on both sides. And I'm going to tell you what my conclusion is and what works for me and what I've concluded after actually debating with myself about this very topic. So, first of all, what is it? So, we're going to talk about what it is and then why you might want to do it or why you might not want to do it. All right. And so co working is the idea of grabbing your copy and going to work with somebody else who doesn't work in your same place of employment. That's it. That's all it is. Co-working just means that you're working next to them. You're co-locating and you're working right next to them. And that's really it, right? It can be that you get up and you drive to some place that you rent and you sit in a co-working space that's been made to really be happy. It looks like Silicon Valley or something. It could be you go to Panera Bread, you could go to Taco Bell. It doesn't matter. You just want to be around other people while you're working. For full disclosure, at one point I had a guy who was self-employed, very very successfully, by the way, over 200,000 a year, easily doing computer engineering on his own time, and he had nobody around to work with. So he and I became accountability partners, and we would go to coffee shops and sit next to each other, and he would get his work done and I would get my work done. And it worked. It worked for a while. But there was always the logistics of getting together and all of that thing. So, yeah, but that is one example of co-working. Another example of co-working is something I call co-lurking, as I call that on accident, where you go to a Twitch stream or a YouTube stream or to a YouTube channel where they're playing, chill out music, and you just sit there and you put that on the screen on the side and you do your thing. A lot of people do this. A lot of people love to do this. And I'm not really against it, but I've decided not to do it. I did it for a long time. I did it. I put AsciiFish up and I put the music up, and then there was a place to go in and chat anytime you wanted to. And it was kind of nice, that feeling of like, hey, my community, my friends in my community, most of my friends, I'm happy to report, are actually people that I met through live streaming. I got my current job through live streaming. I met my current wife online. It's not a bad thing. And do I meet people in real life? Yes. But the point is that hey, how are you? So people who are in the room with you, so to speak, make you feel more comfortable and cozy. And I totally get it. I totally get it. But here's the real question. Are you more productive by having that community always available to go look at, right? And are you so addicted to dopamine that you need to, go look at it? So that brings the next question up. So now that we know what co-working is, whether you're paying, $200 a month for a WeWork space, or you're just doing it online and you're just co-lurking through Twitch, we know what it is. But is it effective? And this is the part where I hate to admit to myself sometimes the truth. Yeah, Lazy Slacker has just subscribed. I honestly do not think that either co-working or co-lurking improves most people's efficiency. And for that reason, I am no longer going to do it. Even when it's from the beach or the seventh floor of a Marriott hotel in Spartanburg and you got a great view, I'm not going to do it anymore because I happen to think that it does distract from people's productivity. Not to mention the fact that it really preys on people's FOMO. And I actually kind of, FOMO, I actually kind of joked about that, right? It's like, I have people in my chat that I deeply respect who say things like, oh, I miss Rob when I'm not online for a bit. And I appreciate it. I really do. I also miss you. That's one of the reasons that I end up streaming when I'm sitting in the chair over here, or not even on the screen sometimes. And I'm like coding away, tapping out something that you guys will never know, or even on a conference call. Sometimes I've been streaming that because it's nice to have In fact, I've even commented on the comments on the conference call in my chat while it was happening. Rather than let my brain go to a place that is more productive. Which reminds me, I brought this topic up to my wife, Doris, who's very creative and very successful, and she's a project director, for an art residency program and many other things. And she said, she says, yeah, but it's that boredom that sparks creativity. That's paraphrasing her. I think she said boredom is the spark of creativity. And she said, and that got me really thinking hard. She said, so she said, because yeah, but it's that boredom, it's that uncomfortable place when you're just with yourself and your work. That's where creativity happens. And that really blew my mind. I mean, God, I was like really blown away by that thought because when I started, reevaluating every moment that I've ever, been coding or something, and I put my earplugs in because I'm really OCD about whatever the keyboard noise and things like that. I don't like it. And that, you know, it's that moment when you're just staring at the canvas or you're staring at your computer screen or you're going back and forth with the keys and like I do, I fidget with my keyboard because I don't know what to type, but I want to type something. It's that moment where your brain is forced to focus on the task at hand and get creative and think about different things. And that applies for a conference call as well. That boring conference call that you think is not related to anything. Yeah, there might be something said in the conference call that sparks a little bit of creativity and boredom, but maybe triggers another idea. In fact, when I was in the gifted and talented program, when I was learning things in junior high, I remember that Mr. Lundquist, who was my teacher, he used to say, there's no such thing as a bad idea during the creative process and we want to refrain from judging creative ideas, even if they're silly, because they can spark a more sane approach to it and maybe get the thought process going in a direction that is more realistic. So this is why we do not critique bad ideas early in the creative process, because we want to let them flow and come out, because that's going to end up triggering better ideas later. And you're eventually going to, it might be 5 tangents away from an actual good idea, but it's that boredom, it's that focus, and the Zen idea of being present. There's like long-standing historical evidence that being present is more valuable use of your time, whether you're, drinking coffee or if I was being present, I wouldn't be talking while I was drinking my coffee, right? I would just be drinking my coffee and beholding the coffee and like being totally into my coffee. That, a lot of Zen, Buddhists or meditation specialists would tell you that's the way to be about everything. That means if you're going to go to the beach, you focus on the bikinis and the ocean and the sand. You don't try to bring your computer there and code at the same time. Because then you won't enjoy either of them. You'll end up producing horrible code. You'll ruin your computer because you got sand in it, and you also miss the best bikinis and waves, those sweet waves. So be present, right? So this is the reason that I personally think, I think that co-working and co-lurking, they feed into 2 very, very real needs that we have. The need to not be alone, to have people around us, and the need to feel like we're getting stuff done. Well, we're really not. Stephen R. Covey made a book called The Compass in the Square, and many other books about time management. And whatever you think of Stephen R. Covey, I really like the quadrants, and it's the quadrant, the conjoined triangles. No, this is a reference to Silicon Valley joke. But there's like it's a box, and there's like 4 quadrants in it, and I think it's quadrant 3, which is it's like urgent and important, right? And that particular quadrant, the not urgent and not important, I think is where random chat with people in a co-lurking space, or or like looking over your screen at the person and the Panera bread and making thinking about what is that on their t-shirt, those kinds of things, those distractions that occupy our mental space, can detract. They can detract from our ability to produce, but they feel, sometimes they feel good. It's like how come, like a live stream or something like this feels like you're getting stuff done when you should maybe be doing something else. Now, to be fair, to hot bikini. So I do think, and I'm going to do these coffee, talk kind of streams pretty regularly, but the focus is on co-working. This, if focusing on interacting with my Twitch stream and coming up with conclusions and making a very hopefully focused video about our conclusions is more in line with, focus and Zen meditation and, staying on point than it is for me to just, let the stream run for 6 hours with good music in the background and maybe we have random chat about things. So I'm going to say that it's probably better to get to deal with that loneliness and to dive into the work that needs to be done and to focus on getting that work done and time boxing, which I made another video about. Whether you use Pomodoro method or some other method, 45 minutes is way too little for most of the coding that I do. It's more like 3 hours. Then you can come up for air. And when you come up for air, go check out a stream like this Coffee Talk stream or any other where you can just talk and you can interact and you can like really, really have a water cooler experience, and get some more motivation and maybe share your ideas and stuff like that. And then go back in and go do it. But that doesn't happen if you've got, the constant distraction around you. In fact, a lot of people who several people suggested that going to Panera Bread or something like that is actually impossible for them because there's just too much activity. There's too much distraction. And that just really depends on you. Actually, some of the best code I've ever gotten done, touch grass, yes, go outdoors. And everybody knows that I'm that guy, right? I want to work hard and then I want to go play hard outside. But when you see other things going on, sometimes people concentrate. Seriously, some of the best code I've ever done was when the white noise was so intense. It was in a pub. I would go to the pub and I would bring my earplugs in case I needed them. I'd order a pint and then I would put my laptop up and then there was like live music and there was just tons and tons of white noise. And in fact, there was so much noise that I was actually really able to focus on the code. And so I was the weird guy in the corner in the couch, writing code with all of this stuff going around. Was I effective? I felt effective. I don't know. I did write some of my best code during those times because I don't know why. It just was the energy of the place and everything. But at that point, I would argue that there was so much distraction that it just became one huge wall of white noise. And sometimes I need white noise to not. It was either that or the Balmer Peak from the pint I was drinking. I don't know. There's a separate video on the Balmer Peak. So co-working is not something that I am going to do or encourage people to do. If you want to do it and you find value in it, please let me know. Please, write a comment in the YouTube here. Or just come on in. But the takeaway from this is that I am not going to be doing co-working streams anymore. I will be doing like streams where I am trying to figure something out and I'm talking through it interactively with the chat. And you're welcome to come into those if you have time and your day is okay to be distracted with that, if that's something you're okay with. But I am not going to do the DJ music. So, and it's sad because I really love being a DJ. I do. So maybe we'll have to have focused DJ streams where I pick the music that we listen to and we can talk about it and we can jam out and have some fun. And maybe I can make a very dedicated DJ stream instead of having this big, long, drawn-out co-working stream, right? If I do a DJ stream, by the way, I'm going to be dancing and stuff because that's usually what I do. So that's all. Maybe rethink your dedication to co-working and colurking. Maybe focus more. Let yourself be bored and let that boredom turn into creativity. And then after you've created something awesome and you've delivered on it, go have fun. Go touch grass. Go come hang out with us. And then we'll be here.